So Donovan Mitchell didn't end up going to the Knicks. He got traded to the Cavs instead. But you know what? I'm relieved. I got to tell you, I am relieved because I wanted Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. God knows I wanted Donovan Mitchell to play for the Knicks. But you know what? Not for a king's ransom. And reports said that the Utah Jazz tried to rip off the Knicks and they did not negotiate in good faith because they asked for too much. The Knicks gave a great package. Apparently, they offered RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and Obi Toppin and 3 unprotected first rounders, and they said no. And instead, they got from Cleveland 3 first rounders, but they got not even Darius Garland. They got Colin Sexton. Who else did they get? Who are the other two that they got?
The other two guys?
Yeah, the other two guys. No names, basically.
They got a rookie that they drafted, I think, number 18 or something like that, and then some other guy.
Yeah, so the other two guys are non-existent, right? So the Knicks obviously had the better package, and the Knicks are also accusing Utah of not negotiating in good faith. Utah denies that claim, but of course they're going to deny it. They're not going to admit that. Nobody's going to admit that because if they admit that, I think the NBA could fine them or something. But they're pissed off because Donovan Mitchell wanted to go to the Knicks. The Knicks were kind of like not necessarily tampering, but they sent their guys there at the games. All these rumors, the rumor mill was, and it's like Danny Ainge was just being spiteful. But of all people to be spiteful, Danny Ainge should be the last person to be spiteful because he ripped off the Brooklyn Nets, if you remember. Okay? What were you going to say?
Well, he supposedly, it wasn't him who was being spiteful. It was the GM or the CEO who was the other guy that was there before Danny Ainge even took office. So
Okay.
I think it was the other guy, and Danny Ainge and Leon Rose didn't even talk about this trade, which is weird. Like, this is a big thing. How are you not going to talk? How are the main guys not going to talk about a blockbuster trade like this?
Yeah, that does sound weird. That definitely doesn't sound right. But you see, fine, even if it wasn't Danny Ainge that was not negotiating in good faith, right? Danny Ainge always got what he wanted, right? He ripped off the Brooklyn Nets when he traded a has-been Kevin Garnett.
He also traded for Kyrie Irving, don't forget.
I was going to mention that after. He traded a has-been Paul Pierce. He ripped off the Nets. And you see, the Net fans were delusional, just like Laker fans are delusional now, right? I'm thinking, hold on a second. If with Doc Rivers as coach and Rondo as your point guard, you couldn't go anywhere anymore, suddenly you think with Darren Williams as your point guard and who was that guy? Who was their coach? I remember he was on Dallas.
He had like a high pitched voice.
Yeah, he had a high pitched voice. I forget his name. But Doc Rivers was the better coach and Rondo was the better point guard. So you're telling me that in Brooklyn you're going to get to win, and I feel like this is what the Lakers don't get. But that's a whole nother discussion. I'm getting off topic here. But Danny Ainge also ripped off the Cleveland Cavaliers when he traded for Kyrie Irving. What did he give up? An 8th pick that was Colin Sexton. Okay, great.
Well, who now?
Which is now Darren Williams, Donovan Mitchell. Okay, but then he also got they got a has-been Isaiah Thomas, right? So they got ripped off by Danny Ainge. Fine.
Well, not a has-been.
Well, what do you mean? He came back.
You throw that word around very loosely now.
Listen, Isaiah Thomas was fantastic, but after that injury, he was just never the same.
Yeah, but he wasn't a has-been. He just didn't recover.
Right. Has been. It just happened very quickly for him. That's all. You know, when you think has been, you're probably thinking like 5 years.
A has been is like T-Mac on the Knicks.
Right. But that also happened kind of quick because in Houston, he was great. And then he had an injury. He had a surgery. He gets traded to the Knicks and then he sucks.
Or like Steve Francis on Knicks. That's the definition of a has-been.
And Isaiah Thomas on Cleveland was a quick has-been as well. I get it. The year before, whatever, when he was in Boston, he wasn't. But again, we're getting off topic here.
All right.
So going back to the Knicks, right? I am really happy, but at the same time, I'm pissed off because, again, I wanted Donovan Mitchell, but not for RJ Barrett. And what I don't get is that when they traded Donovan Mitchell to the Cleveland Cavaliers, they didn't get Darius Garland. They didn't get Jared Allen. They didn't get that other center, Evan Mobley. They didn't get those guys. Okay. So why is it always the Knicks that have to give up their centerpiece? And the biggest question is, why did the Knicks make RJ Barrett available? He's 22 years old. He put up stats at this age when it comes to points, rebounds, assists. At such a young age, he joins the list of Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, who else? Kobe, LeBron, Luka Doncic, right? All those all-star guys, and you wanted to trade this guy for a guy who's a flashy scorer? I'm sorry, I love Donovan Mitchell, but he's a one-dimensional player. Okay, it reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. What's he gonna do for us if we traded RJ Barrett? What would Donovan Mitchell do for us? Take us to the playoffs? Great, we were already there the year before without him. Is he gonna take us to the finals? Hell no. So why would you trade RJ Barrett? And this is what pisses me off about being a Knicks fan. And now I'm starting to think that Max Kellerman's right. I used to hate Max Kellerman for being a traitor, but he's right. As long as James Dolan's the owner, and maybe this is not even a James Dolan thing, maybe this is a New York thing, but they're always chasing the marquee name. And they're willing to give up young pieces, young, good pieces. That's why I'm happy we didn't get Steph Curry that year. I'm happy Golden State drafted him above us. You know why? Because if we would get him, he'd be gone with the Carmelo trade. I'm telling you, he'd be gone. And then he'd be a star eventually, and we'd feel stupid. Okay, the Knicks always do this, and I'm sick of it. And I can't even though I'm happy RJ didn't get traded, I'm not crediting the Knicks for it. I'm not crediting the Knicks for it. They were going to get rid of a great piece. They were going to get rid of a good all-around player, someone with a high ceiling, high potential, for a guy that's not like that at all. Okay, I'm starting to question if I should even stay a Knicks fan because of that. Because I am just sick of their stupid formulas that never work out. And I think that it needs to change with the ownership. We need to get an owner of the Knicks that won't have that stupid mentality.
Well, let's hope that those were just rumors and that they didn't really offer.
I highly doubt those were just rumors, my friend.
Why would they offer RJ Barrett and all the young pieces that have the most potential for one guy?
Because they're the stupid Knicks. That's why. They've done it before and they're continuing. I thought, okay, fine. Fine, we got Phil Jackson. Fine, we got Leon Rose. They're still making the same mistakes.
I refuse to believe that they were going to give up RJ Barrett.
I don't refuse to believe it. The reports are everywhere. Everybody knows. ESPN knows. Everybody's saying it.
I know, but it could just be rumors.
I highly doubt it.
They might have just put that story out there to show that the Jazz didn't negotiate in good faith.
Then maybe the Jazz would have retaliated. But
and also that doesn't make the Knicks look good by giving
the only thing I'm going to credit the Knicks is for not pulling the trigger like they did for Carmelo. Like, hey, here's our whole team for one guy. Let's do it. Here. I'm glad that they at least held out. And what's weird, they were willing to give up RJ Barrett, but they were not willing to give up Quentin Grimes. I don't know, man. I love Quentin Grimes. I think he's going to be a solid player. I'm excited to see what he'll do for us. His summer league performance was outstanding. But if I'm going to have to pick between him and RJ Barrett, I'll pick RJ Barrett. But who am I to say that, right? These guys, they see these players there every day. They probably know what they're talking. But then I can't even give these guys credit because when you look at the Knicks' record and drafting players, most of the time they screw up.
Well, they probably thought they probably thought that Quentin Grimes will be a RJ Barrett and even maybe better. So, like if you look at Obi Toppin, he's I love like the type of player he is, but I think he has a low ceiling because they compare him to Amari, but this guy cannot play the three because he's not quick enough to defend the three, and he is not, I think, as explosive. I don't think he's that versatile. So yeah, he might be good, but he's not going to be great, in my opinion. And I hope I'm wrong. And then look at quickly, like now they're comparing Maxi. That they're saying that Tyrese Maxey on the Sixers could actually take them to the next level in addition to James Harden, and he could be that X factor, that piece that really takes him over the top. And I'm thinking like Quickly is a very similar player with the way they play, and he's not getting any love because he didn't play consistent minutes. And if that is true about Maxi, then Quickly could be that guy also who could also get us to that next level. So it's exciting to see. And I'm so happy that Knicks didn't just give away everyone just for a 6-1 guy who could score 25 points and then
Exactly.
get bounced from the second round.
Exactly. And look, I love Emmanuel quickly, but I'd be willing to sacrifice him for Donovan Mitchell. I think that's an upgrade. Okay. But how do you give up at a 22-year-old RJ Barrett? Like I am just sick of it. They want players to play good right away. And, you know, I don't know, man. Like
Honestly, man, if they did give up those guys, I probably wouldn't even watch the Knicks anymore.
yeah, and look, they were saved by a miracle of the spiteful Utah Jazz. Thank God that this trade didn't happen. I'm willing to just watch our youth grow. And honestly, I'm sick and tired of this New York Knick mentality of we got to get the stars, the name chasers. Like, just develop our youth for once. Because the last time you did that, the last time we had homegrown talent, we had Patrick Ewing, and Patrick Ewing was arguably the best Knick that ever played the game.
I can't remember the last time the Knicks developed youth and actually made him. Well, yeah, Patrick Ewing, and I think I wasn't even a fan back then because I didn't follow basketball. But like they gave RJ Barrett a 15% trade kicker on his new contract. So does that mean that they still would trade him if like they have a good opportunity to trade him for some basic player, some mediocre player?
They better not. I mean, look at Giannis. Look how long it took him to flourish, right? Look at Steph Curry. Look how long it took him to flourish. You can't just give up on a guy like RJ Barrett with such huge potential. Um,
But Curry's a different case though.
why? Steph
Because no
Curry
one
also, it
expected
took him
Curry to be the
years,
best shooter in league history.
but it really took him years to show that he's Steph Curry. He didn't just, I think that on his fifth,
I think
sixth
that was
year,
more, but even when they gave him that extension after fears of him having a hurt ankle all the time, they didn't expect him to be this good. They were kind of just rolling the dice, and they got lucky.
yeah, and maybe this is the curse of the Knicks because they're a high market team. Everybody wants to play there, supposedly. You
Since
know,
when? When's the last time a big name free agent came? Yeah, Golden State's a prime example because they actually developed their talent. They signed all these guys that are now multiple
well, Golden State
ring
developed their
holders.
youth. They
Yeah,
they they created a team from the draft.
exactly. And even like Clay Thompson is a great shooter. He's a great defender. He's not as athletic, but you have a guy like RJ Barrett who's 22 who could develop into being a better shooter, has g- has great the defensive capabilities, could drive to the basket and they're gonna just like give up on
Give up.
him
Yeah,
just
that's
because
crazy.
Quentin Grimes had a few good summer league games. I don't know, man.
No, I think they loved Quentin Grimes way before the summer league. But look, man, I don't care. I just want to see RJ Barrett grow. I want to see Quentin Grimes grow. I want to see these young guys grow. And I'm willing to be patient. Realistically, we're not going to win a championship anytime soon, even if we had Donovan Mitchell on our roster. Even if we gave up Evan Fournier for Donovan Mitchell, right? And we still had that squad, we would not make the finals. Okay. But I'm still willing to see these young players grow, and I'm really excited. And I think RJ Barrett is gonna hit soon. I really do think so. It's only a matter of time.
I'm excited to see how this team plays this coming season. Like, I think that if what's his name? If Julius Randle's back in his normal form and he doesn't choke again, um, the Knicks are going to be a problem. But of course, everyone's counting them out. But because that other season was a fluke where they did well. But you got to also find time for Obi Toppin, even though I said he's not going to be as great. You got to give him more of a chance to actually show what he's got. Because if you just give him 18 minutes a game, he's never going to grow. He's going to just stay the same he is. And you might as well just trade him at that point and get assets.
I want to criticize the Knicks again with their judgments, right? They always seem to get it wrong. Okay. They traded the whole team away for Carmelo Anthony, right? They were about to do something stupid by giving away RJ Barrett for Donovan Mitchell, plus more. They were going to give Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, and then, you know, whatever. So let's look at their draft history, right? The year that they got Kevin Knox, they could have had SGA. They passed up on him. The year that they got Frank Ntilikina, they could have gotten Donovan Mitchell. Okay? Now, Porzingis, yeah, they did a good thing drafting him because at number 4, he was the best player available. We didn't think so, but Phil Jackson did a great job. But I can't say Phil Jackson's so great because he drafted Frank Ntilikina, over what's his name? Donovan Mitchell. Then you have what other draft? Okay, let's look at the draft where they got RJ Barrett. Again, they had no choice at number 3. So when they picked RJ Barrett and then Porzingis, that was like a no-brainer, right? You're kind of picking the last best player available. So you can't screw that up. They did a great thing. But all these other drafts, man, Kevin Knox over SGA, Frank Ntilikina over Donovan Mitchell. They didn't know when they drafted Porzingis, they didn't know about Devin Booker. But you know what? They still did the right thing by drafting Porzingis because at the time he was good. He put on a show in New York. But that's another thing, right? They just traded him away. And and of course he's going to want to trade Porzingis because he's always around trade rumors. They're always shopping him around. They're not treating him nice. So he's thinking, well, why should I stay here? Yeah, trade me. And even though it worked out fine, because, who knows? Maybe after his injury, he'll be good again. But maybe at now it seems like, yeah, we didn't really miss out much. But I just still feel like they just handled the situation in the wrong fashion.
Yeah, I think if I'm not wrong, the guy that OKC drafted, Chet, he kind of reminds me of a Porzingis in the way like he plays because he's long and he could shoot and defend and like
His
spread the floor and
his
all that.
injuries, yeah.
His injury, yeah. So and that's the thing with these guys. Someone said I read this comment where someone said that these guys are not conditioned enough for the NBA because they make such a big leap and they're just not ready for that next major step. So I feel like these injuries, I don't know if it happens often. I got to look at some statistics like is this like a thing that is so common like a certain type of player that's a certain type of age getting into the league and then just getting injured for the whole season or like suffering a major injury early on in their career. And maybe it's just not natural to be like 7'2" and like play like a point guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when the Knicks took Obi Toppin, he was supposed to go like number 4. So, you can't go wrong with that. You can't like pass that up to get
No.
who was that guy that they wanted to get?
Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah. So it's like
Obi Toppin was their guy. I'm gonna give them the pass on that one. Obi Toppin was their guy. They got lucky that he was available at number 8. They did not expect that they got him. I don't. That's fine. That's cool. Although you did need a point guard, but is Halliburton a point guard or a shooting guard?
he's like a 2 guard.
He's like a 2 guard, right? Well, they figured they had their eye on Emmanuel quickly, which turned out great. So that's okay. I'm giving him the pass on that. But again, that is kind of like the Porzingis and the RJ Barrett drafts. It's like, it's a no-brainer. And then here at number 8, the guy that was supposed to go at number 4 and you really wanted him suddenly is available at number 8. You get him.
Yeah, but then the coach is gonna play Randall like 38 minutes a game. Toppin's not gonna get any run time, and he can't play center. He can only play one position. And then they signed the other guy. When is Toppin's not gonna get minutes again? So either they have to trade Randall, or they gotta just trade Toppin then because I want Toppin to actually get a chance to show what he's got.
No, I think Toppin can coexist with Randall. He'll just play less minutes, but if he needs to flourish like that, fine. I think Julius Randle's days in New York are numbered. And it has a lot to do because we have a Cam Reddish on our roster who doesn't want to be in New York anymore. And for some reason, Top Thibodeau just doesn't like him. He's on his final year. So if we don't trade him for something, we get nothing, right? And after giving an RJ Barrett huge extension, I highly doubt they're going to keep Cam Reddish. Okay. And they just overpaid for Jalen Brunson, which I understand. You know, at least now we have a young point guard with young legs who can pass the ball, right? Um, but I think with Cam Reddish on the roster and he needs to be moved, I think it's inevitable they're gonna try to move Julius Randle. And I think there is a team out there that's gonna want his services. I heard Phoenix. Lakers don't want him, but I heard Phoenix might be interested. And I'm sure there's a handful of other teams that could use his services, you know? So don't be surprised if he moves and we'll probably get a replacement who's not as good, but with less years on the contract. And that's the way it's going to go down. But don't be surprised if the Lakers end up taking Julius Randle just so they could get their hands on a Cam Reddish as well. Because what the Lakers need are role players. And maybe they won't give up the picks, but in return, the Knicks are dumping Julius Randle's contract on them, right? So I'm not surprised if he's going to be moved because
Yeah,
I don't think the Lakers are done moving. Like they still have Russell Westbrook on the roster and they do not want him there. So
I think that you could get some value back for Randall. Like he's not that bad. At least wait till like mid-season to trade him to another contender where you could get maybe like a young rookie who's not getting minutes or like some future round picks, but to just not to give him up and not get anything back is that's gonna be crazy.
well, yeah, I see what you're saying, and who knows? You're right. By trade deadline, maybe suddenly teams will need his services out of nowhere because of injuries, or they feel like with him on the roster, they can make that push. You never know. But what teams do you think would be able to use Randall's services? Right? Maybe Charlotte, maybe the Charlotte Hornets, maybe.
Charlotte Hornets for sure. I mean, you got that guy who was they were supposed to give an extension to. What's his name? I forgot. He has a brother who plays for the Suns,
Oh,
but he's like in some legal trouble now. So now they
I forgot his name also.
they
But
have to now they have to they have to fill that hole. So Randall looks like a great match with for Lamelo Ball. He's a like a point forward. He gets guys open. He gets guys involved. So I think he's a good fit.
and believe it or not, sometimes a fresh start is what somebody needs. For example, right? If you tell Randall out of nowhere, "Hey, this is RJ Barrett's team now," there's some kind of like disrespect there because it's like, what do you mean I'm the man? Like I should be the guy, right?
Yeah, but he hasn't even proven himself to be
Right.
the guy.
Doesn't matter. He's not going to think that way. So now you trade him to Charlotte, and even though Lamelo Ball I think is even younger than RJ Barrett, but now he's coming into a new situation, a new organization. He knows he has to comply and play nice if he wants to have a chance. So I think he needs that change of scenery. You know
You know where he'd be a good fit in?
where?
Uh, the Nuggets.
Oh yeah, I think the Nuggets need something extra, man. I think that even if Jamal Murray comes back, who knows how he'll be? I don't even know if he'll be the same Jamal Murray that we once knew, but they're missing something. As of now, they don't have what it
Michael Porter
takes.
Jr. also he's coming from back from a major injury. They gave him a huge extension, and who knows if he'll ever be good. He was supposed to be like a top pick.
Yeah, but that's I'm actually glad the Knicks passed on him because they got Kevin Knox. They could have gone Michael Porter Jr. Although it's messed up to say, Michael Porter Jr. is probably more effective in the short time that he played than Kevin
Kevin
Knox
Knox.
was, But the downside is maybe the Knicks would have given him that extension and now we'd be stuck with him. So whatever doesn't happen is for the best sometimes.